I went over to a guy's place in the middle of the night to hang out, and he gave me a gummy. After a while, I just wasn't feeling him and the gummy hadn't kicked in, so I headed out to drive home. As soon as I got in my car, however, all hell broke loose. I couldn't bend my legs, and I started speaking really loudly, to myself, alone in my car. Then, I had an insatiable need to sing opera, so I began doing that with myself still alone in the car. But then, I had to pee. Really badly. I wasn't going to go back to Dude's house and wake him up, so I panicked. That's when I saw I had a plastic grocery bag, complete with handles. Somehow, my brain saw the handles as straps that I could put each leg into, wrap around my waist, and then seamlessly pee into the bag as I sat in the driver's seat. So I took the bag, strapped myself in, and proceeded to pee all over my driver's seat. One time when I was high, I had to take a train home after visiting my then boyfriend for a week. We both got stoned beforehand, and he made a point to get me really, really high, so the train ride wouldn't be so brutal and mundane. I ended up being so stoned that I just stared at the train when it stopped at the station, almost missing it until he shoved me through the gate and yelled, "Get on the train!" repeatedly. I staggered onto the train and plopped myself down on the nearest seat, too stoned to move. The attendants began moving through the aisle to check tickets, and I had no idea why they were being so kind and attentive to me as I tried to comprehend their requests to scan my ticket. A few hours later, when I was finally able to get my mind out of space, I realized I had been sitting in the disabled carriage the whole time.
I got baked one night out on the beach, as I did many nights. My good friend and I walked down the beach sharing a decent-sized blunt. We finished the whole thing and decided to go sit down up on the dunes, which are about 50 yards in from the water. We sit down about 5 feet from each other and spark up a cigarette. Two guys are walking down closer to the water than us and stop when they get aligned with us. We are so high right now, and it's pretty dark. Plus they are about 30 yards in front of us. We can barely make out their outlines, but we know it's two guys. They stood there just staring at us from afar. They would stare at us for like a minute, then they would look at each other and talk. Couldn't hear what they were saying. They did that for about 10 minutes. My friend and I just sat there, not saying a word. We were so stoned we didn't care. The ocean breeze and the stars and ocean were really fucking with them feels. All of a sudden, the two guys start walking towards us, really slowly and making hand gestures. They were making sounds, but we couldn't make out the words. The whole time me and my boy are just looking at them. Finally, I say, "Yo, man, I know I'm pretty baked, but do you see two dudes walking up to us or am I just tripping?" He replies, "Oh shit, you see them too? I thought I was seeing shit, that's why I didn't say anything." By this time, they are about 15 feet from us. I can now clearly see and hear what they are doing. These two dudes thought my friend and I were two stray dogs sitting on the beach. They were patting their thighs and saying, "Come here, boy. Come on, boy. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Come here." It took me about 20 seconds to muster up a, "What the fuck are you doing?" and they ran off. I think we laughed for about 15 minutes after we grasped the whole situation. Had several slices of ganja butter given to me by a hippie. Came home from work one night, had no weed to smoke. Decided to eat that butter. Made a bun with shredded cheese and the butter melted into it. So gross to eat, it was too much butter. Managed to get it down. Probably took a year off my life with that much butter. Now the waiting game. Several hours pass and I'm still sober as a judge. This shit was bunk, I say, as I gave up and went to bed. It was about 4 a.m., 8 a.m. I awakened to the room breathing and the floor heaving like an angry ocean. "Oh fuck," I mumbled as I struggled to run to the bathroom. I drank a glass of water and promptly puked a bunch of green buttery liquid up. My roommate was getting ready for work at the moment. He sees me stumbling around and laughs at my predicament. I struggle back to my bed that was rocking back and forth on the high seas and try to sleep. I got work in a few hours and needed to sober up fast. I did not. I spent the next 3 days in a zombie-like fog. My roommate picked up weed during the day and offered to smoke with me the next night. I didn't need to. I was still jibbled from the butter. I've never had a similar experience with weed since. My best friend has an awesome setup for movies, projector, stadium seating, in his small apartment. We decided to make a gravity bong and watch movies. We started with Point Break and followed with a second act of Pineapple Express. I had only taken one hit so far but said fuck it during the second movie. I pass out and awake an hour later to the begging of the movie 7. It was the first time I had watched it and became jumpy for the rest of the night. At the end of the movie, I had realized that there was a partially open bag of munchies in my car. I go to my car and the streetlight, on a timer, goes off as soon as I reach my car. I began to circle my car looking in the back seat for Kevin Spacey, while I hear whoop whoop with red and blue flashing lights. The cop had been parked on the street to catch the speeders down the main street of my hometown. "You okay, sir?" I stared at him for about 20 seconds and blurted out, "I just watched a scary movie at my friend's," pointed to the apartment, "and I checked the back seat, all while I am holding a bag of munchies." He replied, "I think it's best if you stay there tonight," with a shit-eating grin on his face. Had a friend I met in college in German class who had never tried weed before. I told him I used it, and he asked me a lot of questions about it. Fast forward to one night in German class, and this stoner dude offers us a hit off his vape pen. My friend and I both hit it, but my friend said during the class he wasn't feeling anything. After class, the guy offered my friend another hit. He hits it, and after about 5 minutes, he could barely even speak. He thought he shit his pants at one point, and I was kind of freaking out, lol, because I didn't know if he actually did or not. He didn't. I brought him to my apartment, and he puked, and then just slept it off. We both talk about it now and laugh, but it was kind of stressful at the time. Dude said he thought he had died, lol. My first time I was with my cousins for another cousin's bar mitzvah, and got high. I was about 14. We went back to the hotel room. I was staying and decided to head back to my own room. His room was on the first floor and mine was on the 5th. The elevator is all the way down a super weird diamond-shaped hallway, and I start trudging down it when I see an old black couple, mid to late 60s, walking toward me. I keep my head down so they don't see how red my eyes are. I walk slowly and as inconspicuously as possible. Eventually, they pass me and I raise my head. It was there I realized I stopped moving at some point and just stood there with my head down. I start walking again, but not before hearing the old guy mutter the phrase, "fucking white people." I continue to walk to the elevator and proceed to laugh my ass off for 2 to 3 minutes while the elevator gets to my floor. We ditched school to smoke weed once and a helicopter flew over my house and we thought the school was looking for us using a helicopter. So we ran under trees and hugged buildings to get to my friend's house so the helicopter wouldn't see us. LOL. There I was, young and just a little foolish. My best friend was back in town after a year-long hiatus, and I decided this was the day I'd smoke weed with him, conveniently as soon as we meet. He rounds up a few more of his friends, and we head out to the aptly named forest to, as he said, rip a few cones, man. There I am. I get the rundown. I take a hit, and since I was drinking previously and am completely irresponsible, I take a few more hits, and before you know it, I roll down into an empty river and begin my 2 hours of comfortable sleep. It felt exactly like my bed. My head was full of fluff, and this was simply the place to sleep. I awaken, and I look around. Sharp and stinging pain courses through me, beginning at my hands and proceeds through my arms and into my chest. I stumble to my feet and brush myself off. I'm still completely out of it, but coherent enough to realize I should go. This is echoed by most people there, but not before my friend who is nicknamed Belly shouts out, "Holy fuck, dude, look at all these centipedes." I go cold. I think to myself, surely not where I was resting? Lo and behold, a writhing mass of the multi-legged beasts crawl amongst the undergrowth, right where I decided to sleep.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more stories.